Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Here's Eddie Frederick.
Welcome to Caribbean Perspective. So glad you can join us. The story that dominates in today's edition for Thursday, 15th May 2025, and brought to you in association with our friends at Antillean Group. A High Court judge in Grenada faces a charge relating to an indictable offense and has been suspended from active duty for the time being. Details after this important message.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so glad to see. Peace of mind, that's our service guarantee. We look after all our family. Yes, we do at every opportunity.
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Welcome back. A High Court judge from St. Lucia has been formally charged with assault involving a deadly weapon while serving in Grenada's criminal court. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court has de-rusted the judge from all judicial duties as the legal process unfolds. Miriam Montoute of the DBS News World reports.
According to an official statement issued by the ECSC on Tuesday, May 12, the court was recently made aware that Justice Innocent was charged on April 28, 2025 with assault with a deadly instrument. Following the charge, Justice Innocent was granted bail and is expected to appear in court to respond to the allegations. In response to the development, the ECSC has announced that Justice Innocent has been temporarily de-rostered from his judicial duties. To minimize disruptions in Grenada's criminal court, a replacement judge will assume his responsibilities effective June 1, 2025. The ECSC stated in its release that it is approaching the matter with the utmost seriousness, whilst also stating that it remains mindful of Justice Innocent's fundamental rights under the Constitution, whilst also reiterating its commitment to the rule of law and the integrity of judiciary. The court has not released further details regarding the nature of the alleged assault or the circumstances surrounding the charge. For the DBS News World, Miriam Montoute reporting.
Following high-level discussions with the U.S. Secretary of State, St. Lucia's Prime Minister provided an update on the talks during a pre-cabinet press conference held on Monday last. Zane Romulus of the DBS News World has more.
2 months after Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with a half-dozen Caribbean leaders in his first official visit to the region, more heads of government got an opportunity to air their concerns about recently announced U.S. policies. Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre led the OACS delegation during last week's high-level talks, which he said were candid and productive. The implications of U.S. tariffs on regional exports were among topics discussed.
The U.S. enjoyed an overwhelming favorable balance of trade advantage with the OACS. In 2023, the U.S. exported $2.23 billion to the OACS in comparison to U.S. $67.5 million in OACS exports to the USA. The OACS reaffirmed its readiness to engage in constructive dialogue on fair trade and development and urged that this matter be reconsidered in light of the region's vulnerabilities and the close interdependence with U.S. markets.
OACS leaders also underscored the need for the Cuban medical mission, says the Prime Minister.
We explained to the U.S., to the Secretary of State, that there was no human trafficking. The Cuban personnel in St. Lucia were paid a salary. They lived in the country. They had their own homes, their own social life. They lived like anybody that comes from anywhere else, like the Indian doctors come from India. But so we think there's a better understanding, and the program, as far as we got from the meeting, will not be stopped. But we're ready to answer any questions. You see, it's open. We can answer any other questions that the U.S. wants answered.
In addition, the discussions covered the citizenship by investment programs.
The U.S. actually have not raised any questions about the program. Anything they ask, we give them. In fact, the firms that due diligence for us. Actually, some of them are U.S. firms. And that came up. But the U.S. expressed nothing negative at the meeting to the CIP program. What they continue to want is proper due diligence. That is what they continue to want. And then there's another aspect which we are working on, which is biometric scrutiny of the people who get our citizenship, and we are working on that.
Prime Minister emphasized that there is no threat of tighter U.S. visa restrictions as a result.
I don't think that it's right first to link CIP program to visas and people going to shop in the United States. I don't think it's right. But as far as I'm concerned, the U.S. said nothing about that. Rubio said nothing about in our discussions. Nothing of that nature was said. Nothing.
According to the Prime Minister, OACS leaders also reaffirmed their sovereign right to maintain diplomatic and economic relations, including with China. They assured the U.S. that these partnerships are strictly non-military and are driven by economic necessity rather than geopolitical alignment.
We said to the Secretary of State, and I quote, "We fully respect the mandate entrusted to you by the American people and the agenda your administration pursues. We are also compelled, respectfully and forthrightly, to share the perspectives and pressing concerns of our own people. This meeting represents an opportunity not simply for dialogue, but for alignment towards cooperation that is both principled and pragmatic."
For the DBS News World, Zane Romulus reported.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick, in association with our friends at
Antillean Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.
Earl Haywood Christopher, Trinidad and Tobago Substantive Police Commissioner, returns to work after 3 months suspension on Monday, accompanied by her senior counsel Pamela Elder. More in this comprehensive report with CNC3's Jensen Lavend.
Police Commissioner Earl Haywood Christopher left this building in custody of her junior officers. Today, she returns triumphantly to resume her duties as Commissioner of Police.
I have been vindicated, which I expected in my 43 years of service. I have never been, there's no allegations of any misconduct, be it criminal or otherwise. My service has always been with integrity. But other than that, I reserve any further comment at this time.
After what she said was a cordial handing over from DCP Junior Benjamin, the Top Cop then met with Homeland Security Minister Roger Alexander. While the Top Cop feels vindicated, her attorney warns that the legal drama isn't quite over, as they intend to bring more legal action against the state.
Why wasn't the investigation done before? You know this saying, you put the cart before the horse?
One final question.
So we would be advising her to bring action against the police officers who arrested her and who were responsible for her arrest.
Hours before the Top Cop returned to office, High Court Judge Christopher Suchan found that the Police Service Commission acted lawfully when it suspended her in January. Ella says this will be appealed. With just mere days remaining on her contract, Haywood Christopher says God will take care of her when asked about her concerns for a third and final extension. Haywood Christopher was arrested over an alleged involvement in the procurement of 2 sniper rifles for the Strategic Services Agency. That investigation was spearheaded by Deputy Police Commissioner Suzette Martin. And while the Director of Public Prosecutions, Roger Gaspard, found that there was insufficient evidence to secure conviction, Haywood Christopher says she holds no grudges towards Martin.
I believe I'm a professional and no, there's no animosity. I don't know if she has any animosity, but I have none.
Do you feel like this was a witch hunt of some sort? Or some people are even arguing politically motivated?
No comments. I will not comment on that at this time.
Ella says her client will be taking up duties for the remaining of her contract.
Yes, she intends to come and perform her duties because she is the Commissioner of Police.
Okay, so the
handover has been completed.
And you received the confirmation letter from the...
We have not received the confirmation letter, but we acted on the undertaking given to the court, right? that the decision has been made to lift the suspension. I don't know why they are so tardy in signing that letter.
The senior attorney laughed when asked about a client becoming vindictive towards her subordinates. Jensen Lavend, CNC3 News.
Guyana's leader of the opposition, Aubrey Norton, came out swinging against Vice President Jack Dio, accusing him of behaving like a yard fowl in his attacks on the lawyer representing the family of deceased Adriana Young. Travis Chase reports for HGP Nightly News.
General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party and the country's sitting Vice President Barra Jagdeo, at his last Thursday afternoon press conference, referred to Dr. Dexter Todd, the attorney for Adriana Young's family, as mediocre. In response, leader of the People's National Congress Reform, Aubrey Norton, was asked to comment on the VP's description of Mr. Todd. Mr. Norton concluded that the VP's mandate is to try to tarnish the image of hard-working, respectable Guyanese, especially if you dare oppose the People's Progressive Party civic government.
Jack Deo's approach is always to tarnish the image of people who are more intelligent than him. I mean, it's easy to be more intelligent than him.
Mr. Jagdeo was visibly upset over the fact that Dr. Todd took to Facebook to demand that the government treat the death of Adriana Young as a homicide and not as accidental drowning.
He's a piece of trash who attempts to attack everybody that exposes the PPP in him.
For the record, it was the very Dr. Dexter Todd who represented former Public Service Minister and the PPP Member of Parliament Jennifer Westford in 2018 when she was charged with 24 counts of fraud amounting to $600 million. She was later freed of all the charges.
I have never seen Jack Deo respond in an intellectual manner. He always behaves like a yard fowl, takes off his frock and begins to abuse out.
In his strong response to the comments made by the Vice President, Mr. Norton stressed that Mr. Jagdeo should focus on the concerns of Dr. Todd and Adriana Young's family rather than attacking the character of Mr. Todd.
In our book, he's a reputable lawyer, he does his work, and what Jagdeo should be doing is responding to the concerns raised rather than attacking his character. But then to ask him to rise to that level is to ask him to do the impossible.
Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
News In Depth reports the U.S. ambassador in Guyana says no request has been made for assistance in the Adriana Young case.
U.S. Ambassador to Guyana Nicole Terriot said Monday that the United States has not received any request from the Guyanese government to involve the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, in the ongoing probe into the death of 11-year-old Adriana Young. Speaking with reporters, Ambassador Terriot clarified that such assistance would require a direct government-to-government request.
The way that it works is that it's a government-to-government request, so the government of Guyana would simply have to make that request to the FBI, and they would determine based on their capacity and their resources if they're able to assist. As you know, they came and did a very, very thorough investigation after the Mahdia fires, and they were instrumental in that. So we're happy to accept that request if that is what the government wishes to do.
Our comments come as public pressure mounts for international involvement in the investigation, with specific calls for assistance from the FBI, Scotland Yard, and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Over the weekend, there were announcements of a planned protest outside of the U.S. Embassy in Georgetown, urging American authorities to intervene. Despite a heavy police presence and a cordon around the U.S. Embassy in Kingston on Monday morning, no protesters turned up. Terriot said the planned protest was part of free speech.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily regional news and more, in association with our friends at Antillian Group.
Believe in our strength, we'll stand by you. Protection from all perils, big and small. Reassurance we give, it's so clear to see. Peace of mind, that's a service guarantee. We look after all our family. opportunity.
Antilian Group, underwriters of all classes of insurance solutions for your protection and investment. Live well financially.